So Wendy flew home from Lisbon this morning, and I've driven up here to an area called the Beira region. I think that's what it's called. Central Portugal, very near the Spanish border, just a few miles over that way. And this time of year, it's so colourful. Just look at this colour while I'm doing this time-lapse sequence here. Dawn, and I'm waiting for the sun just to come up over here. So as I'm waiting for the light, I'm checking my depth of field and my focus point. My nearest purple jobbies to the front of the lens are about 1.5 meters away, and I've got a focal length here of 35mm. So looking at my hyperfocal distance table in my photo pills app, I can see that at an aperture of f16 I've got a hyperfocal distance of 2.59 meters. So that in practice means that if I'm focused something at that distance, everything from half that distance all the way to infinity will be sharp. And so that's what I've done. I've selected a focus point at about 2.6, well, call it 3 meters away from the lens, and I've double checked that and everything's sharp. So I'm ready for the light to come up over that hill now. I can just see the light starting to paint the landscape at the top of the hills there. Oh, I love these mornings, I really do. This is what it's all about. Below me is the village of Monsanto. It's a unique place because it's been built in amongst these huge boulders. So down the valley here is Idana do Vela, an ancient town actually, an old Roman town, Visigoth capital, and beautifully situated. But I'm shooting it in the evening light, and as you can see the shadows gradually marching across the valley in front of me. So my prime time is right about now. Gotta say, this fence is making life difficult. Could go over, I suppose, but there's signs everywhere saying not to. Here we go, another dawn patrol. Really contre-jour light for this picture. I'm not sure it's working at all, but maybe. Snow-capped mountains over there. Tomorrow I head that way, north and into Spain. It's been a fabulous Portuguese trip, but time to move on. This area though has really impressed me. Not many people seem to come here. It seems empty, but it's just so colourful and rugged and sparse, and would easily reward more time and exploration. I'll just have to come back, I guess. So I think this grove of olive trees with the lovely colour underneath them will look really good in the first light, side lit from in the morning with the light coming up over there. So I've returned to Monsanto for an evening shoot. It's looking good. Visibility's good. There's not a cloud in the sky, but there's not a lot of haze. So I'm using my 24mm tilt and shift lens here with a lot of drop tilt dialed in so that I can keep the verticals here of the walls and buildings in the village down below all perpendicular, but have an angle of view looking down on the landscape. Such beautiful light. Oh wow, look at this. This is the Cannon do Sil. Welcome to Galicia. So I've just crossed over from Portugal, had a fabulous trip there as you all have seen in the previous video blog. And now the adventure continues here in Galicia, a part of Spain I've never ever been to before. So this is my first stop here, and I'm just working out how to best photograph this incredible scene below me. Canyons are always really difficult to photograph because by definition one side is usually in shadow and the other in light, particularly as when the sun is low on the horizon. Real big contrast problems. But with this one, I'm looking that way to the northeast, so I'd be looking straight into the sun as it rises in the morning, or looking this way, that way is to the northwest, so the sun would be coming down this valley here in the evening. So here I am back for the evening light, and predictably it's going to be difficult. All sorts of contrast problems down there in the valley, plus haze. So I've got my 16 to 35mm lens in action here, pretty wide at 17mm, manages to take in the whole of the width of the scene here. And of course I'm using a polarizer, which is really useful for not just saturating the colours in a scene when shooting with cross lighting, but also in cutting down the haze. So the light's dipping into the cloud to the northwest now and fizzling out, but for just a few minutes there I had some really soft low contrast light here on my foreground, this nice colour in the vegetation here, and a little bit on the valley. In fact, I think it might be coming back again here. And I'm really quite pleased with how this shoot's come together in the end. That low contrast lighting is working to my advantage. And it just shows that despite how the situation looked when I first arrived, you just got to get on with it and make the most of the situation. Another dawn patrol. So I've pulled in because it's not a good idea to film when you're driving, but I don't know if you can see in my headlights, that looks like mist to me, So I'm headed back to the Canon de Sil, a different viewpoint probably this morning, and I'm hoping I'll be able to get above this mist. So all along the Canon do Sim are these miradors or viewpoints, and I've come back to this one, the highest one this morning. I'll be shooting from a viewing platform which never feels quite right. Nevertheless, I think this is the place to be, with the prospect, maybe, just maybe, of the odd trace of mist down there in the gorge. But it's hazy as hell again. Well, there's a bit of light coming through now, but the haze is just killing it. So beneath me is the monastery of Santo Estevo. The light is way too harsh normally for my tastes. I'm shooting too early really, but we've got this towering cloud above the monastery down there, and I think that makes the shot. So I've done it. Why not? So I've come back for another try. It was raining overnight, and I was hoping there might be traces of mist lying in the gorge, but it's just dense fog. So this is the Costa de Mort, the coast of death, so named because the number of shipwrecks all along this incredibly exposed coast which lies at the extreme northwestern tip of Spain. Of course, that's not how it looks now. It's this incredibly tranquil, sunny, warm, calm situation and weather they've been getting now for over a week. Haven't seen a cloud for days, many days now. Great for camping in, not so great for photography. This leg here on the Costa del Mort hasn't really come together as I would have hoped. Had a good session this morning, but the light's just been this flat, khaki, hazy, muggy light for most of the time. So that's just the way it goes, and tomorrow I have to move on. In the grand scheme of things, it's one leg of one trip, which has been a fantastic adventure. The light's pretty uninspiring this evening, but I've got to try and make something of this great location with that church there on the headland. This shoot's coming together better than I expected. I know I've said that quite a few times this trip, but what I'm doing here is I'm shooting, I've got a polarizer on, I've got a soft neutral density grad and a 4-stop neutral density filter, giving me an exposure of around about 1 second, which is giving me some nice movement on the water there. Not too much though to make it just a complete blurry sea of milk. So, and now just some light coming through on the headland there. It's coming together nicely. So that's my location for the morning. Playa Catedras. The tide will be out then, so I'll be able to be down on the beach. So this is the faro or lighthouse on Ilha Plancha on the Galician coast, the north coast near Ribadeo. Just arrived for the last leg of my trip. I've got 2 days here and this is a great location. Should catch the evening light with the sun going down over there. Trouble is, just as I was driving here, this sea fog has come in and it's all very flat and grey now. But I suppose that's better than the kind of clear blue skies and haze that I've been getting for the last few weeks. So there's a little bit of sun coming through and it's really quite moody. After all the sort of clear blue skies and haze, this is really just what I wanted. And I've been doing a panorama. It just cries out for a panorama, this scene. And I've been doing it vertically with my 24mm tilt and shift lens with a bit of drop tilt dialed in there to enable me to get a viewpoint looking down, and you can see the sun coming through on the headland there now. Shooting in stereo again, stills, time lapse. Last dawn patrol of the trip. It's just so atmospheric though. So what I'm working on here is a pretty minimalist shot. Just using these shapes of these lovely rocks here, the beautifully pure sands and those stacks over there. That gap over there is the one I'd have to get through to photograph the rock arch. But the tide's on the turn and I'm just not going to risk getting cut off. I'm on the ferry home from Bilbao tomorrow, and after a month wafting around Portugal and now here in Galicia, I'm finishing this shoot under leaden grey skies. I've had virtually a month of clear blue skies. That's the way it goes. It's been a tremendous trip.